Hi, this is Jacob Allen. This is my Mod 8 Legal Aspects of Teacher Evaluation. So, my summary of the 4 articles. First one I'm going to look at was the Teacher Evaluation Heads to Courts, and uh, overall summary of this one. Lots of legal cases surrounding evaluation, which was kind of interesting to see how many different teacher groups were suing the state or the education system for teacher evaluation. First of which being the Florida, they were suing over student growth and just not measuring student growth very well. And then another case was about merit-based pay and just how it was being uncharted unfairly to students, and student growth was just unequitable among their teachers. The next one was Louisiana, and they were suing because they thought that teacher evaluation wasn't a fair way to calculate tenure and do the pay scale. The next one was Nevada. That group of teachers was suing for because tenure could be lost after two ineffective teacher evaluations. The following was New Mexico. There was a problem with poor data keeping, and then the evals were handed down by the ed secretary, which they also saw as unethical. Oops. Moving along, New York, they had a poverty was being not considered in their teacher evals, which was a problem with them, and then there was also inconsistent ratings. The next one was one of the biggest shockers to me for Tennessee. Teachers were finding out that their merit-based pay because of teacher evaluation was based solely on 10 students, and then the school-wide rating was being pushed onto art and music classes that weren't even taking standardized tests, but they were getting paid because of it, or deducted pay because of it. And then the final one was Texas, and then their problem was just that the state didn't specify really what student growth meant, so it was too broad to actually pay, or evaluate, I should say. The following article was the teacher evaluation and issue overview. This article and the next article had a lot of similar ideas, but the intro to this article talked about how evaluations are decided by the district mainly, not necessarily the administrator. And then changes in the evaluation system over time have led to better scores. What has been found is that good teaching can get a year plus worth of learning happening for a student. Bad teaching can be just half a year of teaching. In the old system, there was about a 99% satisfactory rate, which was led to rare tenure fires. So teachers that had tenure typically weren't removed. But then the government decided to step in and give $4.3 billion to revamp evaluations. And then one of the main changes that was made were that evaluations were going to be more connected to pay and dismissal of the teachers. Just kind of a pedagogy change for these evaluations was that the newer models, the Danielson framework was the main model for evaluation, which is what essentially what my district uses as well. The teacher unions do like the ideas of the new evaluations. They don't like the link to student achievement, which makes sense because you just never know how that student achievement will be calculated. And then one final review of the new system changes is that poorly reviewed teachers tend to pull out of ineffective evaluations. So it is inspiring the ineffectively rated teachers. The next article was the teacher evaluation guide, which started off with an introduction about the key principles of teacher evaluation. So they should be safe and open. There should be multiple rating ways, clear standards. They should be integrated. They should be validated methods. They should have teacher input, and then the union should also have a say in them. So just some of the things other than that are key to teacher evaluation were you should understand effective teaching. You should maybe have a background in it. Another thing is that you should lay standards. The article went on to talk about a bunch of different standards you should have laid out when you're doing an evaluation. Continuing on, you should have multiple measures of evaluation. You should have multiple measures of student learning. You should decide on what teacher evaluation tools you should use. There's a number of them listed in the article. And then you should work with your district to ensure that you are following the protocol of your district after you've decided what tools, measures you're using, whether that aligns with your district or not. The next one is also, like I said, connected to the last one. A lot of the similar ideas. Teacher effectiveness should be attached to student achievement in some way. The keys to this system are similar. They should be linked and integrated, meaning they should be a couple different ideas of what a teacher is that are integrated, not just a teacher observation. Whatever measures you're using should be something that's validated, that's been tested as to its an effective way of evaluating teachers. It's worked in other districts. It's been researched. It should be validated. The next one is you should be establishing credibility. So kind of similar to the last one. Continuing on, just kind of, again, the history, the same kind of a thing. We have shifted from teacher quality to teacher effectiveness, as in what they're looking for in these evaluations. And then teacher evaluations shouldn't just be checking boxes. They should be, again, integrated in lots of different measures in order to measure a teacher, not just, I see this, check a box. Okay, so then moving on to my own district, how the teacher evaluation system works. You start off by doing a teacher pre-self-assessment. It's using a Danielson framework as to how you rate yourself. You have a bunch of different categories you rate yourself from ineffective to proficient. You get one observation per year. It's arranged by your administrator. Following your evaluation, you and your administrator have a conference where you fill out the same rubric together. Teacher has to sign off on the evaluation. If a teacher doesn't like their evaluation, they can do a couple things. They can refuse to sign and say, I want to do another observation. They can refuse to sign and they can take it to the district and say they were unfairly evaluated. But those are kind of the initial steps. Most teachers, from what I've known, is they just do a second observation to re-go at it. The next part of this was a question of what happens if a teacher is unfairly let go. So that is initially brought to the district. I work in a massive district, so they have people that are there for mediation to figure out, did the administrator break the evaluation process, and then it'll start mediation. That way the district doesn't have to get a legal case involved. But if it's not solved there, then it will go to the courts. But my personal experience is actually a principal evaluation is how this worked out, and this is how I found out about all these rules and how the step process works. But what happened was the main principal at our school was unpopular, and the teachers were asking for the achievement director to look into improper work ethic that our principal was doing. What he did was he came in and cleaned house, removed all of our assistant principals and the head principals. And then so what this led to was an uprising because the assistant principals were people that were liked, but the achievement director was using their evaluations, using the same kind of method as teachers to justify releasing these principals. So what first happened was the threat of a lawsuit, but then the district said, hey, whoa, let's stop and let's actually take this to mediation first. And then after mediation, 2 of our assistant principals were actually reinstated at our school and then given back pay for the year they lost because they were out of our school for just a year. And then the final was a reflection of how should you ensure that you're following the legal issues associated with evaluation process. Well, step 1 is doing the schooling and reading these cases and seeing where did other teachers go wrong. I think you need to be thorough with what you're doing, and then just good communication with your staff to talk about what are my evaluations. Here's what you're going to see. So there's